It's getting hot in here, so hot. Hey, you guys. You just caught me singing about these awesome spicy pickles. Really cool accessory of a cayenne pepper. And on this all new episode of Sam Explains the World with your host, Samantha Bremekamp, I'm going to teach you how to bring the heat for an extra delicious treat from the garden to your tummies. Sit back, relax, get excited. It is about to absolutely get hot in here. So please don't take off all your clothes. But if you do, I won't know because I'm not at your house. Let's get to it, friends. It might be raining, but it's not going to stop this gardener from grabbing all the things needed to make some nice spicy pickles, which I will share with you once I stop harvesting. This rain, sun, rain, repeat situation is really making the garden blow up. So obviously use caution and don't go out if there's lightning, but otherwise it's just water and vines poking you in the face. That's why I wear glasses, that and for seeing. One of these pickles is not like the other, or I should say future pickles, but I'm starting to run out of arm space. Should have brought a basket. Didn't realize there'd be so many more. I picked so many yesterday, but that is the life of a gardener. So here we are. And I have no regrets. After such a rewarding gardening in the rain adventure, I have everything I need and an abundance of pickles, or future pickles, to make spicy pickles, which I've done here, but I'm going to tell you how to do it, show you how to do it. This has cayenne pepper in it, grown from the garden, of course. This has jalapeno pepper, grown from the garden. And this is the not spicy kind. It's almost like a bread and butter pickle, but a little bit more tart, which is just like my signature favorite go-to type of pickle. So yes, there's sugar in here. But for my two spicy friends, this is what you're going to need. Let's try to guess. Cucumbers / future pickles, a really good jar. You're going to need black peppercorns, bay leaves. If you really like spicy and want to keep it even spicier, you could do add a little flavor of the red pepper flakes. Mustard seed is a must, which was really hard to find. I went to a bunch of stores and I don't know, I guess it's pickling season because that was the only one of those. I was trying to get a giant thing of mustard seed, and this is all I could find. And this is pickling seasoning that they sell, so you can just use that if you don't want to put it together yourself. And I'm going to use kosher salt. And for the herbs from the garden that I'm going to add just for fun, and the peppers, we have the cayenne peppers, jalapeno pepper, dill. I'm going to add the sorrel to give it like a lemony kick, basil, and of course, garlic clove. And you're going to marry all of them because this is not involving sugar. I don't need to heat it up or anything. I'm just going to directly put it in. But I do the brine separately and then pour it over. And you slice up the cucumbers and shove as many as you can in here first. I would also include in that mix the peppers because you really want to make it as jammed as possible before pouring over the delicious brine. So grab what you need and or just watch and do nothing, including a good knife, a little carving knife, which I'll use in the peppers, and a bigger knife to make slicing cucumbers easier. I like this little guy for slicing the spicy peppers because it's smaller and there's more control, and it's easier for me to get rid of the seeds, which I'll show you in a second when I get some of this out of the way and kick it off. I had to share with how incredible these came out. God, look how gorgeous they are. And yes, this nerd used her label maker to label them, and I dated them. It's just helpful. I mean, these aren't going to last that long anyway, but everything's so beautiful in there. You can see the garlic, you can see the different peppercorns, mustard seed floating around. I added basil too. I just like to add a little extra flavor. But these pickles are ready and going to be super spicy, and my partner's super stoked. Those back in the fridge and get ready with some slicing. dicing and prepping our delicious spicy pickles. And while we're at it, making pickles, spicy or otherwise, I was reminded by my cousin Michelle in Maine. Hey, she was, while watching the pickling episode, she was making dilly beans, and I was so excited. I had forgotten that, yeah, string beans can be pickled. Everything can be pickled, basically, but if you have them in the garden, awesome. I don't have enough for them from the garden, so I ran to the store because I also like to do the beans in a brown butter with sliced almonds and oh, I'm getting so hungry just thinking about it. But anyway, we're also going to pickle a bunch of them because why not? We can. So thank you, Michelle, for the reminder. When slicing spicy peppers, it all depends on your level of spice. I can't do any spicy, but my partner loves spicy foods. So of course I had to grow jalapeno and cayenne peppers, among other peppers, in the garden. And they're beautiful. And I'm gonna now show you how to slice them up to put into your pickling concoction. We're gonna start with the easier one, the jalapeno. Easily cut off its crown. It can still get thrown in, but it doesn't need to, you know, for looks. And there are millions of teeny tiny seeds. And yes, I'm gonna save the seeds. I believe someone mentioned once that the seeds, if you remove them, it won't be as spicy. Somebody could have also just made that up because I wasn't going to test it either way. So if you know that to be true, awesome. If you want to experiment and see if that's true, awesome. If you want to just ignore that bit of info, awesome. But I do extrapolate all the seeds because I'm like a gardener farmer and I want to keep growing things based off of the seeds that come from the things that I've grown in the garden. So yes, those will get dried out, put on parchment, a label will be made, and then they'll get put into a little manila envelope with a date for next year's garden. But now that I've removed all of the seeds, I'm being super careful not to touch my eyes or face because that would hurt a lot. Even if you like spicy, your eyes don't like spicy. Your mouth might. That's none of my business. Okay. So I'm just going to do strips. I think it's more visually pleasing and the flavor flav's gonna seep into the pickles anyway. You can dice them up smaller. I think it's also easier. And then, you know, Kev can totally eat the pickled slivers of jalapeno once they're in long enough with the brine. Or can add it to salads or whatever. Wherever you like to add super spicy stuff. It's up to you, my spicy friends. So many seeds. Even if you get something from the store, like I've mentioned, you still have a pretty good chance of being able to grow it, which is how I got all of those really sweet little, like rainbow colored peppers, the snacking peppers that we always have a bag of in the fridge. One day I was like, let's just see. And of course, the seeds took, and now we have those little plants getting bigger every day all over the garden. So that would be really fun to see how that. I'm just going to move the dill a little bit. It's not a big dill. The dill don't mind. And again, if you want it more spicy, leave in the seeds. That's what they say. The old spicy pepper people. Okay. That's enough for a jar to get enough kick. If you're trying to make yourself cry or sweat out or, you know, punish yourself, please feel free to put as many of those as you want in it. But that's enough for us here. The cayenne pepper is not going to be as easy to cut because it's such a fun shape. It makes me think of like elf shoes. And when you're doing this, if you want to collect the seeds from things, make sure you keep the seeds separated. Make sure you know which pile is which. Because if you go through and you're doing a bunch at a time, the lie that we have to tell ourselves as adults is like, oh, I'll remember that. No, no. A child, sure, they'll remember that you promised ice cream 15 weeks ago, but you can't remember where you put your keys. So, the hilarity of life. These also have a lot of seeds in them. And yes, I'm going to very carefully because I don't want to hurt myself. Whoop. I want to be able to get all the seeds out. And these will sometimes pop all over the place. And they end up being the bane of my existence because I keep finding them forever. And I have to be very, very careful with what lives on the ground because of our girl Marmalade, who that would not be fun for her to get in, even if she liked it. I guarantee her body will not. And that then falls on you. So make good decisions. Please don't feed your dog peppers. I know you're like, you don't tell me what to do. I do and I don't. I do and I don't. I make recommendations and then you live your life however you want. That's how that goes. I'm going to cut these into strips also. With the other two jars that I showed you, each had a different pepper. With this one, I'm going to combine both peppers into one jar just to see what the flavor is like. Like performing surgery, plant seed extractions. I'm already getting excited to start growing seeds in the winter, and it's July. Now little strips. And because I'm putting them together, I'll just put them in the same pile of the cut up ones. But you don't need to watch me do all of this, but I am going to chop up some stuff, tear it up. You can do it, tear it up with your hands if you want, and put it in the jar for some delicious spicy pickle action. If you get a bunch of peppers, you could also pickle those. And for those who like spicy, what a treat. For those who don't, stay away from that. I started to panic because I was running low on white vinegar, distilled white vinegar, because I keep pickling everything and I used it to clean everything. But I always plan ahead, so lo and behold, what was behind it? A brand new one. You can get it for really, really cheap in big containers at regular grocery stores. And of course, at Costco, you get the kind that's like a barrel, or they deliver it to you. It's like a pod for moving, but it's just filled with white vinegar. Just kidding. They don't do that. Let me just show you what dry ingredients to put together. I like to put it together on the side and then pour it on top, just so I can keep track of how much of everything is happening. The only thing that, oh, it's such a pretty sound. That's enough for a jar. Boop. Not that much. The only thing that I won't do that with is the bay leaves, because you're just going to stick them in whole into the container with the pickles before you pour the brine anyway. You can also do it after if you forget. It's not a big deal. So then we have salt to the other side. About a tablespoon and a half red peppers crushed. As your kitchen captain, you put as much as you want in it. It all depends on what you like or what the person you're making for them like. Or if you're doing a business, you need to know what your customers like. Oh. That's such a good smell. Okay, so there you go. There's your mixture of dry things. You can always add things after. If you have found, once the pickles have been sitting in the fridge for overnight or 2 nights or whatever, and you open it and you taste it and you're like, oh, it's missing. I wish it had more. you can just add those things. Man, it's too sour. I'm going to add some sweetness to counteract it. Or, man, it's not spicy enough. I'm going to add more spicy things to it. And the same thing with pepper or mustard seed or salt. Pickles are cool because you can make it and then you can keep changing it and adding to it. You don't have to, it's not like a one and done where like, oh, this isn't tasting exactly how I want. I have to throw it out and start over again. It's way more fun than that. Okay, on to the chopping. Da, 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 da. Ba, 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 ba. Da, 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 da. So these are different varieties of pickling cucumbers that have done rather well in the garden, and so far so good, haven't been completely destroyed. I have been noticing, I don't know who's getting in there, I think it's Chippy, has been going in and taking bites of parts of them. And like, listen, Animal Kingdom, I don't mind sharing stuff, but finish the pickle. It's like mean to just take bites out of stuff. I know you're all watching nature. You guys have a subscription to this. And I appreciate it, but also finish the food. Don't just take a bite out of everything. This is shaped like a mustache. I must ask you not to turn this off because that joke was so bad. Basically, you want to do spears to fit into the jar. You can also do it coin-shaped or whatever you want. Obviously, if pickles grow into a funny shape, the spears won't be perfect, and I hope you still give them a chance. Some of the pickles are starting to do this, which means it wasn't properly pollinated, but it's kind of too late at that point to do anything about it. And so you can still use them. They're still gonna have good crunch and taste. They're just gonna be funny shaped. Don't just toss them out. They still have good flavor. Oh, the crisp. Mm-hmm. So some of the pickling cucumbers that I've grown this year are National Pickling, Boston Pickling. What are the other pickles or other cucumbers that I've been growing? There's one that's like beta alpha or beet, whatever. It's a scientific name and it has like alpha beta omega 523 CR21 or something, which is not accurate. I just made that up, but that's when you know it's been designed and made in a lab and not someone's yard. It's not like Ralph's best cucumbers. It's like C3PO. I'd be into that then. Let's be real. If you've never grown cucumbers in the garden, they're super easy to grow, but understand that they have a tough outer layer that has these little prickly black spikes to help prevent pests or unwanted guests from getting to their delicious, delicious flesh. That includes humans. Sometimes when you're grabbing it, if you're not wearing a glove and you're not handling it carefully, you will absolutely get pricked by it. It's almost like dealing with some of those fish where like you need to really know which direction that you're able to touch, like the really, really, oh yeah, this one. This one was bitten. I will cut off the bitten part. I've washed these, so it's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal. Get it? Do you get it? Way out there. Pickles. Shout out to Carla for absolutely slaying that joke at a restaurant the other day. And she had such great delivery with such dry humor and a straight face that we died. In a good way. Good out with friends, getting good dinner, making hilarious dad joke types of dying. This should be enough. I think it's going to be too much for one jar, but the good news is I have more than one jar. And I will make another thing of the sweet and tangy pickles that I adore. All right, now let's schlep these babies into the jar, which I also cleaned. If you do it sideways, you're able to keep them in the shape layers that you have dreamed of. You don't have to be perfect at this, however. You can shove them in however you want, but like this method, like you're building a ship inside a bottle, which kudos to those people who are able to do that. That's intense. How do you even know that you're able to do that? Because you try. But sideways method is the best method for shoving in as much as possible. So I have it halfway filled up with the cucumbers. I'm now going to shove in the spicy peppers. Make sure all the seeds are on. Come on, friends. Let's get spicicle, spicicle. Spreading it out, sharing love, and making sure no seeds get in. I won't have to bring anyone to the ER from a spice attack. I'm also, at this point, going to add the bay leaves. I can. Speaking of being jam-packed, just one and done for the bay leaf situation. I'm also going to right now pour in the dry stuff, because if you do it where you put the dry stuff on the bottom or on the top, it'll take a while for it to like waft through all of it. But if you do it in the middle, which I just realized while talking with you guys, there's a faster momentum for it to spread its deliciousness. Give it a little shake and twist. Yeah. Once the liquid gets in too, it'll spread. And it's going to be amazing. Let's do some. What's the Dillio with the dill? You can pinch it off and make it smaller. I kind of just want it to look really pretty. You'll still get the flavor by putting it in whole. I'm not doing any of the flowers this time because I just didn't feel like it. And the sorrel. So I'm going to fold that in half. I'm going to roll it and squeeze it a little. And then stick that in. It's going to be really pretty. I'm going to keep the stem on it too. Again, this is really pretty. It has a red vein going through it. So it's going to add, it's going to be visually pleasing too. When in doubt, be kooky. Add different things. Especially if you have a really good garden going. Try stuff out. Don't ever be afraid of messing up. In cooking, gardening, in life, that's how some of the best inventions get made. That's how I discovered the delicious candy, like creme brulee like topping / caramel consistency of the apple pies overflowing and spilling onto the pan. It was just an accident, and it's changed our lives for the better. But all of the best inventions, in my opinion, are mistakes that end up being gold. Okay, the only thing I see that I'm missing is garlic. So I'm going to grab a garlic clove, slice it up, and shove that in. Hold on one second. As my partner said, there's no such thing as too much garlic. For him. For me, it's a different story, but just got attacked. Any of you want to represent me in court against this garlic clove, please let me know. Lines are open. I'm just kidding. I don't have a phone. Please don't contact me. The way I like to do garlic, put it on its side, press it a little bit, and then I'm going to do teeny tiny pieces in this one. Sometimes I'll just do bigger slivers, but I'm going to go all out for the garlic for my partner, who, it turns out, is safe to know, not a vampire. Obviously, everybody knows that. Garlic and vampire stuff? It is smelling good. Crush. Slivers. Chop it like it's hot. now that I have the garlic in, I might add more later. We'll see. We'll have my partner test it out to see if he wants more. But with that said and done, thank you, garlic. I'm going to now shove the smaller ones on top, smaller cucumbers. That would be pickles. Oh yeah. But I'm telling you, my friends, the sideways method, game changer. The halfway mark for pickling, game changer. You just get so much more in. Well, slippery suckers. Yeah, the snacky ones on top are gonna be the best. I like to do that. So A, I'm not wasting a whole one, and B, those are like my taste tester ones. So I keep the tiny ones towards the top of the jar, so that when these have been sitting long enough, I'm able to take it out and test them. Or for these, I will have my partner take them out and test them. And now it's time to say goodbye to the rest of this distilled white vinegar. Look at that. It's the perfect amount. I can't even make that up. That's amazing. I'm like really proud of myself right now. Who knew? But I do have more pickles. I have more that I picked. And I'm going to do a jar of the sweet because I can't get enough. Or more tangy. More tangy. Like a little like sweet and sour. Oh, so good. All right, my friends. As easy as that is, you might want to make a label, which is what I'm going to do, to put the date, what peppers or whatever kind of special, extra potent thing you've added to this batch. Just add it to the label or a separate label. You don't want to have guests come over and then, like, I don't know, do like the midnight pickle run. I know you do, my guests. And to get an unpleasant surprise in the middle of the night. But God, look how gorgeous. And the halfway method is beautiful. The colors are beautiful. Yes, I am obsessed. And you will be too. So these bad boys are gonna go in the fridge. I'm gonna wash my hands, take all the spicy stuff, put it aside, wash stuff off, and then I'm gonna do the tangy pickles. I don't want crossover because spicy doesn't like me, but that's it. So thank you so much for watching. Welcome home, Dilly Beans. Whoop whoop. Same method as the pickles, but I did it with string beans. Thanks, cuz, for the reminder. Join your friends. This is what your fridge should be looking like if you're into pickling and you're a gardener. It is the best time of year. These will just be for snacking. Sure, they could be for gifts. We could share them, but they're not making it out alive. That's a promise. Thank you so much for joining me on Sam Explains the World with your host, Samantha Bremekamp, on this spicy, saucy pickling edition. May your pickles be ever crunchy and delicious and whatever flavor sensations that you're into, from spicy to tangy, to even using string beans or other varieties of things found in your garden. You have so many options. I hope the rest of your weekend's amazing, and I look forward to hanging out with you next Friday at 8 p.m. on BCTV.